Hello, and I'm at Melbourne Airport, and this evening I am fixing up my mask and then flying to Sydney with REX in their new business class product. Now this morning I was on the inaugural flight in economy class, so I thought it might be interesting to compare it with business. So in this video I'm going to take you on a full tour of the business class product and show you if it's worth the extra cost. So let's check in. I make videos about planes and one train. If you enjoy watching trip reports on board aircraft and tours around significant planes in museums, then make sure you check out my channel, subscribe, click the notification bell, and find me on Instagram and Facebook. Here we are at Terminal 4 at Melbourne Airport, which REX shares with Jetstar and a few other airlines, and straight ahead were the check-in desks. You'll see a few balloons around as the 737 flights were launched today, so everyone was in a celebratory mood. Business class gets their own line, so you get to skip the queue, although there were some teething problems, so a staff member took me to the self-check-in machines to the side where the process was done very smoothly. I didn't have any checked luggage, so I grabbed my boarding pass and took off upstairs to the departures. It was really great seeing life returning to normal in the terminal. I was here a few months ago and it was really quiet, so it's a nice change. REX have always had a lounge at Melbourne for their own frequent flyers, although it's only now that it's been branded as a business class lounge. Remember that prior to getting these 737s, they didn't actually offer business class as their entire fleet was made up of those turboprop subs. The lounge itself was fairly basic with tea, coffee, soft drinks and booze, muffins and a few other snacks. I did hear that they were looking at upgrading their Sydney lounge first and making that their flagship, where people will also be able to enter with priority pass as well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. It was nice having somewhere to sit and relax before your flight, although, as I said, it was pretty basic when comparing with the domestic Qantas and Virgin lounges. As I had been busily editing my economy class review, I arrived at the airport fairly late, so I didn't have much time before I took off to the gate. And here's our aircraft, VH-RQC, a Boeing 737-800. This aircraft first flew with Virgin Australia, so you know it's been well maintained. And I should point out, because it's getting so much media attention at the moment, that it is not a 737 MAX. In fact, there are no 737 MAXes in Australia, and none of the local airlines have bought any yet. Boarding was called for passengers with special needs and business class, so I was fortunate enough to get on board first, which always makes the filming less awkward. As you can hear from the staff, everyone was so excited. We were all given these goodie bags, which I'd already picked up earlier, and they included a book on REX's history, a cap, water bottle and pen. I forgot to film it in this flight, although you can see all of it in my economy class video, and I'm actually giving it all away to a subscriber, and the details of that are in the other video. It was quite a long wander through the aero bridges, which kind of reminds me of those massive ones they use on the A380s, and now I'm getting a bit sentimental about international travel. And I was also slightly jealous of the passengers sitting in row 15 and beyond, because they got to walk outside onto the airport apron, although I ended up getting out there afterwards. At the door, I was greeted by the friendly Raoul, who was the customer service manager, who had messaged me on Instagram a few days earlier saying he was on board. Business class is made up of 2 rows of seats in a 2-2 layout. Keen observers will notice that they're the old Virgin Australia seats, although they did change the logo on the headrests. I'll run you through seat 2F in more detail. Overhead, there's the individual air vents, which I appreciated in this steamy autumn day, especially in Sydney when we arrived, as it was really humid there. And there's the magazine holder in front of you. There's plenty of legroom, and to your side is this slide-out cocktail ledge and seat adjustment. On the other side, there is the fold-out table hiding in the armrest and a great view of the wing and engine. There's no in-flight entertainment screen or power plugs, although the crew did say that the plugs would be coming. I can understand that people are happy to watch their own media on their own devices these days, so that's why power plugs are pretty important now. The aircraft was fitted with a Wi-Fi dome, although it wasn't turned on, but that will be happening soon, I've been told. There was an offer of juice or water before departure, and eventually we backed out to begin our 60-minute journey to Sydney. Now this has absolutely nothing to do with REX Business Class, but the aircraft you see now is a Ukrainian Antonov AN-124. It's the largest military transport aircraft in service, although it's still a smaller brother to the 6-engined AN-225, which was designed to carry the Soviet Buran spaceplane. It's a rare sight in Melbourne, so I was pretty excited to see it. Anyway, I'll stop av-geeking and prepare for takeoff. Views like this is what I really enjoy about flying, although I was actually really fortunate to have got them. There was a flight change and I was bumped out of the window seat and into the aisle, so this vlog would have mostly consisted of a distant window and I suppose footage of my knees, but a subscriber came up to me before the flight to say hello and we discovered he had a window seat, so we swapped. It was an incredibly generous offer and I really appreciated it. In fact, it was great meeting quite a few subscribers, and I hasten to add that if you do see me at the airport running around with a GoPro, feel free to come up and say hello. It's not at all an inconvenience. In fact, I'm sure I'll be more excited than you will be. There was an after takeoff drink of sparkling wine or something else if you preferred, and nibbles offered. Following that was the main, which I got a slow braised beef in red wine with soft polenta and greens. Dessert was a lime, yogurt and coconut cake, which were all gluten-free and made at a local cafe in Sydney. They're taking the environment seriously and everything you see is recyclable. To be honest, it took me a little while to get used to it, as I'm used to the metal utensils and crockery, which are always nice, but I can understand that we probably should be looking after this big beautiful green and blue thing that I'm flying over, so it was fine. Do you know when you go to a doctor and they put that wooden thing down the back of your throat and say, well, they don't, you do. It feels kind of, which is the technical term. Well, I was glad to find that these wooden utensils are smooth and don't have that weird woody texture that shouldn't go near mouths. The food was tasty and I matched it with a wildflower Sauvignon Blanc from Western Australia. Although being beef, I should have gone with red wine, but I'm a child and can't drink red wine. We took a slight right just past Lake George, which is a few kilometres northeast of Canberra, and started our descent down into Sydney as the sun was setting in the distance. The views over southern Sydney and Royal National Park were impressive and a reminder of the magic of flight. So, how was REX Business Class? Look, I'm going to give a complicated answer. The reality is that the price is just incomparable with Virgin and Qantas. It was literally $150 versus $1,000 with the other two on the same route. 1,000-ish at least. While this was a sale fare, and I'm expecting the standard business ticket will be a little more, it won't be much more. So how does it compare with Virgin and Qantas overall? Obviously, it's not as good from the lounge to the onboard catering, but again, it's 5 times cheaper. The food and drink were fine, although there were certainly less options than the other two. The staff were great and clearly very excited to be back up in the air. One of the flight attendants said it was her first flight in over 12 months, so it was great to see the excitement that they all felt. I'll use a car analogy. You've got a Mercedes C200 and a Rolls-Royce Phantom. The Mercedes is great, but it's obviously inferior to the Roller, which is no surprise when the latter is so much more expensive, and that's the case with Qantas and Virgin Business, especially on the Golden Triangle route, where the latter two are often very pricey. But to be honest, when business class is so cheap as it is here, you can forgive the inferior product, and if you get a good bite in the new REX Sydney lounge, it might be worth spoiling yourself for fun and paying a little extra. Again, to contrast that with the other two airlines, you're never going to pay $1,000 for a 60-minute flight, unless it's a tax deduction or a points upgrade. So look, it'll be really interesting seeing how REX goes with their new jets, and I wish them all the best. As I said earlier, everyone was so excited about the new product and so proud. I ran into quite a few aviation YouTubers and journos on these two flights, and we're all agreed that the product is pretty good and we hope they do well. For comparison's sake, I've already uploaded a review of the 737 economy class and even a recent trip report on board the older Saab 340s from Maruya to Merimbula and Sydney, and I'll link to those in the video description below. I'd love to hear what you think about the new REX Business Class product, so comment below with your thoughts. We ended up deplaning from the rear as the aero bridge broke down, so it was a novelty getting out on the tarmac and getting these great close-up views of the jet, particularly with the sun setting in the background. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, notification bell, etc. Thanks for watching.